Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're going to do another certification exam review. This time we're going to be talking about ISC squared's SSCP, which is their System Security Certified Practitioner. I took this exam in 2024. The way I approached this exam was I started with their ISC squared Cybersecurity Certified exam, which is the one that they were giving away, I think, 1 million vouchers and free training for. I did sign up for that. I did take advantage of that, and I got that certification for free. So what I did was I figured while I was, still studying general security topics, which that exam covers, I would continue to study for I think I studied for about another month or two. And then I sat for the SSCP. Now, the difference between the CC and the SSCP is there is a little bit more depth in what's covered. And to actually get the certification, you have to have experience. And for the SSCP, that experience requirement is 1 year, or you can substitute that 1 year for a bachelor's degree in IT, cybersecurity, one of those. All the details are on the ISC squared website. I have a master's degree in actually a master's of information systems, so I was able to get the 1 year experience waived, even though I have plenty of experience. It was just easier to do it that way. And then you have to have somebody who's a fellow ISC squared certification holder basically vouch for your experience. So they basically have to, it's essentially signing like an affidavit that they know you, or they reviewed your experience and they agree that you have the experience, the required experience in all of the required domains. And it's the same thing for the vast majority of the ISC squared certifications. I think the only one that doesn't have an experience requirement is the cybersecurity certified. So I took this exam, like I said, in 2024. It was my second ISC squared exam. Unfortunately, you have to go to a testing center to take this. There is no online component where you can have an online proctored session. They take the security of this exam extremely serious. Like, they were taking palm prints of, I must have got my palm print taken probably 4 times while I was in the testing center. And it's one of the deals where you go in, you have to be quiet. They do give you headphones that you can put on because there are other people that are taking tests in the center. You don't know, like I didn't know when I clicked submit and did the survey if I had passed or not. I had to wait, get out of the exam center, go to the front desk, and then they gave me my score report. And then that's where I found out that I had passed the exam. So what I had done to prepare for this exam was as I said, I took the CC exam first, which is their entry-level exam. Then I went to Amazon and I bought the Common Body of Knowledge, basically the official SSCP Common Body of Knowledge book, which is the study guide for the exam. And I also got the official practice tests. And I thought it was good. It's a little bit dry, I'm going to be honest with you. And I think it's kind of overkill for the exam, to be honest. I mean, you are going to learn a lot in excruciating detail reading this book. And I just thought that it was super comprehensive, and the exam was a little less so, if you know what I mean. I think they just went into more detailed in the book than actually was required for the exam. The other resource that I used to study for this exam, and in a previous video that I had done, I had mentioned that I usually use CBT Nuggets or Pluralsight. Well, what I used for this one was I signed up for LinkedIn Learning. And Mike Chappell, I mean, if you've studied for, Security Plus or any of those major, even the CISSP. If you studied for any of those exams, you know who Mike Chappell is. I thought his LinkedIn training was really good. I took it, I watched it multiple times, and I actually did purchase his study guides. He sells these study guides where you get like 10 study guides for different exams. And I ended up using a couple of those as I was taking exams in the future. So Mike Chappell, really good LinkedIn learning course. He's another one, kind of like Bob Salmon from CBT Nuggets, where he has a good delivery, pleasant to listen to, obviously knows what he's talking about, good examples, really clear explanations of stuff. So for this exam, I highly recommend the LinkedIn Learning SSCP learning path that with Mike Chappell. Those are the resources that I use to study for this exam. If you look, we'll take a look. The exam is actually covers 7 domains. So you got security concepts and practices, access controls, risk identification, monitoring and analysis, incident response and recovery, cryptography, network and communication security, and systems and application security. It is a very comprehensive exam. Like I said, if you know ISC squared, their exams aren't super hard. They just make you remember a lot of stuff. I mean, they are very broad in what they cover. So, when they say all of this stuff is fair game, they're not kidding, okay? The exam was, I believe, let's see, I think it's, where does it tell you? I think it's 125 questions, and I think you get 2 hours to do it. Let's see, SSCP exam outline. Yes, 125 questions, 3 hours. Now, I can tell you this, it did not take me anywhere near 3 hours. I would say just to answer 125 questions, I mean, if you just think about it, it's going to take you quite a bit of time just to read that many questions. So I think I got out of there 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. It took me. There are some of these exam questions don't count. They're experimental that they're using to try and include into future exams. So you're not graded on all 125 of these questions. And you can see the weightings of the domains. Cryptography is probably the lowest, and that's the one I honestly spent the most time studying because there's a lot to remember there. But if we look at the domains, security concepts and practices, this is, you're going to have, I highly recommend you remember their code of ethics because you know why. That's fair game for the exam, and you have to sign their code of ethics to become certified. So let's just say hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, understand their code of ethics, okay? Because you're going to face questions on that. That's without a doubt. Then you have the CIA triad, controls, asset management, the change management life cycle. They cover a lot here. Then if you look at access controls, authorization, single sign-on, MFA, mandatory discretionary role-based. This is the same kind of stuff like I talked about with the Cisco cybersecurity associate. That's why I think this exam was great to take before I took that one as well. Then you have domain 3, which is the risk identification, monitoring, and analysis. I mean, this is where they talk about all of the risk management frameworks and legal frameworks and all that kind of good stuff. Incident response. If you've been to an interview for a cybersecurity analyst or an incident response analyst, you better know these steps right here because you're going to get a question on the interview from that. Understanding and supporting forensics investigations. It doesn't really go into big time detail on forensics, obviously, but they do cover things like what to do as a first responder, how to triage stuff, chain of custody, preservation of the scene, all of the kind of things that an analyst needs to understand to be able to keep evidence from becoming tampered with or spoiled. Okay. Then you have cryptography, everybody's favorite, hashing, salting, um, services and protocols, uh, non-repudiation. Make sure you understand that. All the different types of encryption and their strength and whether or not they're recommended anymore or they're considered secure. You might want to remember those things. Um, and then we have the network and communication security. This is where you're going to cover some more of the basic stuff like radius servers and network topologies and network security and segmentation and routers and all that kind of stuff. And then lastly is the systems and application security. There's a lot covered under this one as well. Covers all malware, data loss prevention, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, both network and host-based, containerization, so Kubernetes and Docker. There's more encryption in here. Hypervisors, you got to understand, the different types of hypervisors and storage management and threats, attacks, MITRE attack, all of that kind of stuff. Overall, the exam is very general. It's not super hard. Like I said, none of ISC squared's exams are hard. I mean, they're just so much material that you just can't remember all of it, and that's why they're hard. So I went to the exam center. I took the exam. I didn't have any issues. The exam went very smoothly. Like I said, I was very nervous because they don't tell you that you passed or failed the exam until you get the score report. And after I clicked finish and did all of their surveys and everything, and by the time I got out of the test center, went to the first person, handed all of that, got my license back and everything. Then I had to walk all the way around the building to the front office where the printer was, and she had my score report. And thankfully, I passed. So overall, it was a great experience. I thought the exam was super solid. If you need a good general background, I would say, this is a good exam to get. Certainly, if you don't have enough experience to get the CISSP, this is a good one because, like I said, if you have a college degree, you don't even need a year's experience. You can get that waived. So the way it works is you pass the exam. They'll tell you passed the exam. You'll get a notification that you passed the exam. It takes a couple of days. It's not instantaneous. And then you'll have to do the experience verification. You can have them do it. I highly recommend you don't. I've heard, they take forever. And if you can find somebody who's ISC squared certified, that's the better route to go, I think. And then you also have to pay. Obviously, I think it's $50 for the $50 or $75. The CC was $50. And you have to do the continuing education every year. So those are things that you have to remember. Once you get certified, if you want to maintain the certification, there's continuing education credits that you have to get. And you also have to pay the ISC squared membership fee for the certification. Now, the good news is if you have multiple certifications, they don't charge you multiple times. And not only that, when you submit continuing education credits for a higher level cert, all of the ones below that, you can have it apply. I mean, they give you the options to select what the particular continuing education you took applies to. Overall, I think their continuing education portal is pretty good. I've only had mine audited twice in the last year and a half when I've submitted something, and honestly, it was very quick. They came back and they said, "Yep, this is good. As long as you submit the correct documentation, you'll be fine." So overall, I would say SSCP is a good exam. The thing is this, everybody wants the CISSP. So if you go and you look on Indeed or Monster or LinkedIn for jobs, you're not going to see a lot of jobs specifically asking for SSCP. The good news is it's DoD compliant. So this is one of those certifications that if there's a requirement to have a DoD certified certification, like Security Plus and all the rest of them, Certified Ethical Hacker, this one, it definitely falls into those categories. So it is accepted by the DoD. The thing is, it's just not as well known as the CISSP. It is a bit easier to get if you're newer to security and you don't have that experience. So if that's you, I would highly recommend you do it. I also think it's a great warm-up exam for, doing the CISSP or the Cisco Cyber Ops Associate or any one of the other kind of generalized security exams, because they all cover the same thing, right? Security Plus, it's just how much of it they cover and how deep they go. So I don't think taking this exam is a waste of time at all, especially if you're newer in your career and you have a college degree and you can, even if you don't have any experience, you can get this because of that waiver. So that's my review of this exam. I would recommend it. It's not super expensive. It's not super difficult. It is a little bit of hoop jumping through to get the actual certification finally, but once you pass the exam, I would say within 2 or 3 weeks, you'll have your certification. If, depending on who you get to vouch for your experience, if they do it quickly, then, the quicker you'll get that Credly badge. And they do mail you a kit as well. So you do get a nice certificate and everything in the mail, which a lot of companies have stopped doing. So that took about a couple of weeks. So overall, great exam. Highly recommend Mike Chappell's LinkedIn Learning course for this. Use the official study guide and the practice exam book, and you'll be fine. Like I said, the book is not riveting. Let's just put it that way. It is dry reading. I recommend reading it before you go to bed because it definitely will put you to sleep. But that's what I use to pass this exam. And you cannot do it online. You have to go to a testing center. That's the other thing. So anyway, anybody has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.